Now recording. Hi everybody, this is Paul Kelly, Team Mac on a Maccast. Today we're getting to know Kelly Bennett a little bit. Kelly's one of our Mac instructors and the founder member of our Kung Fu Cubs program. Kelly's over on her computer now, so we're going to take a little wander over there. And there she is. Good morning, Kelly. How are you today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Wow, I just did a polite greeting. How about that?
There you go, see.
So, a lot of our people in Alzoin and Stourbridge will know who you are, Kelly, and some of I know you're involved in a lot to do with Mac, on many levels actually, in terms of being part of the full-time team, in terms of being heavily involved in our social media presence and our marketing, leading the Cubs with Sam, and so on and so forth, doing all the Cubs parties and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there surely must be somebody in our audience today who won't know who you really are, who may have seen you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and, where you sit within Mac?
Yeah, sure. So my background is in childcare and early education. So I kind of came to Mac through my children training as a parent. So I've been watching them for quite a few years, thinking, maybe I should give that a go. And then that led me on to, once I had started training, just a conversation about that childcare and the 3 to 5 year olds and running our Kung Fu Cubs program.
Fantastic. So where are you based normally?
I am in Halesowen 2 days a week, and I'm in Stourbridge 3 days a week.
Okay, fantastic. So I know you kind of work with me a lot in terms of other stuff and so on and so forth. So we're constantly in touch a lot of the time. In terms of Mac, yeah, I mean, I know you've trained for a long time. I know your martial arts is, in fact, I used the story of you hipping out the other day as being one of those moments for me that I thought was a real light bulb moment, which I thought was really cool at the time. I think as well, can we talk a little bit about the Kung Fu Cubs? Because, we'll come back to the Mac stuff, but I know that's very, very close to your heart. What's your kind of explanation of what our Kung Fu Cubs program is?
So the Kung Fu Cubs for me is, because of my background, obviously, it is about child development. So from working in my previous roles, I noticed a lot of children were coming through, getting close to school age and just not being physically ready, emotionally ready. We're living in kind of a tech world now where they're missing out on opportunities they used to have. And from watching my own children train, I felt like martial art kind of gave that foundation that a lot of children were missing these days, and that we really had something that we could help a lot of people with.
I know. So for me personally, the 2-year-old, 3-year-old, up to 5-year-old market was kind of new to me. Although, having said that, when we look at Kian, my son who trains, Kian started as a tiny tiger years ago. The difference for me was then that it was purely just take what somebody else is doing in martial arts, an older child or an adult or a style-based curriculum, and just throw it at the children at that age. And I know when you spoke to me originally about the Kung Fu Cubs, what really appealed to me is that we were going to look at the early years foundational stage development and make what we were doing align with those kind of goals for children at that age. And some of the things you were telling me about core stability, about shoulder strength, really struck a chord with me. And I think when the Cubs first started, we kind of took the martial art and adapted it to that program. However, in my opinion, having moved forward, and now we've got 3 to 5 year olds who are hitting combinations, who are doing martial arts moves, who are doing amazing things that sometimes, if we'd have kind of followed the guidelines, we'd have perhaps thought, well, they won't do that or they can't do it. But I think these little cubbers have kind of astounded almost everybody, even the older guard, the older instructors and students have just kind of looked and gone, wow, these children are amazing. And of course, what we see as well is when they come through to to our next program, which is our junior programs, they are already so well prepared and so well adapted to the environment. Was that a surprise to you, Kelly? Do you think it would be that way, or?
In some ways it was, in some ways it wasn't. I mean, I've always believed in the capabilities of that age group. If you know how to connect with them and you know how to teach on their level and you have those kind of skills, you can get them to do things that a lot of people wouldn't believe they would. But just watching the absolute physical skill of them coming into MAC, like, I'm just amazed by it every single day. The way they adapt, they're so adaptable, because I think I probably foresaw a bit of a gap between Cubs and MAC originally, so I thought there would be a transitional phase as they moved up, but they just move in so seamlessly. They're so excited and ready for it. It's just that amazes me.
I think when we talk about adults and even young people, and young people to me are kind of in that 10, 11, 12, 8 to 12, 13-year-old bracket. By that stage, they've already developed kind of, whether they're confident, whether they're not confident. They've had so many things happen to them, so many perceptions that have been overlaid on them, that they can kind of have to get over. We know confidence, fitness, self-defense are the key roles. But I would say for me, underpinning a lot of people is that confidence thing, where life perceptions, whatever else has affected that. With the Cubs, for me, whatever the class is, they just seem to be full of energy, full of life, open to learning, kind of just putting themselves out there and giving it a go. And the energy that comes off the class generally is so fun, but so empowering, because you can kind of go, wow, just check these. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, whatever it is. They have fun, but I know it has to be a little bit more fluid, but they seem to have such fantastic fun, and at the same time evolving into these little kung fu Cubs that are ready to move up at a stage when, let's be honest, most people would have gone, well, no, they shouldn't really be able to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's a little bit about the Cubs, which I think is extremely relevant. Let's talk about you. When did you start training in martial arts yourself?
I think it was about 5 years ago, maybe 5.5. So my son's probably been training 6 or 7 years now. So I used to come down on a Saturday when I wasn't at work to watch him train, and I'd have a sit there with my book and keep watching him. And it was something that I watched thinking I would love to be able to do that, but genuinely never believed that was me or that was something I was capable of. And I think it was only when my instructor at the time was like, come on, just get on, give it a go. I invited my sister down because there's no way I would have got on the mat by myself. I said, come with me, let's try this kickboxing class. And I just absolutely loved it. And I honestly shook physically from head to toe for the whole class. I was absolutely terrified. But I just came off that mat realising that actually I could be a different kind of person to the one who was sat there watching, wishing I could do it.
Fantastic. Why do you think, was it just the fact that Zach was training? Was it being in the environment? What made you take that step towards actually getting on? What was the kind of factors for you that you thought, yeah, I can?
I think it was the environment. I think it was the encouragement from other people, and I'd go, oh wow, that's awesome. Somebody just saying, you could do this, you could definitely do this, you should try it. And just how happy everyone looked when they were training as well. Like, the kids, even if they were having a bit of a day where Saturday morning they're feeling lazy, they're a bit training, and then we get them in there and they're just beaming from start to finish. And I just thought, this is something I want to be part of, I want to do.
So 5.5 years later, black belt, assistant instructor, leader in the Cubs. What's your motivation for training now? Why do you train now?
For me, I like to learn, so I like to always feel like a beginner in everything I do. I try to keep that open mindset. And for me, martial art just ticks those boxes. I don't ever get on the mat thinking, yeah, I've got this. Like, every time I get on, I know I'm about to learn something or adapt something or completely spin what I think I know on its head. I just love that constant learning.
So a lot of, I've mentioned this in other podcasts with the guys, but a lot of people won't know that you will train with me, kind of 4 and a half hours a week at the moment. We're training stand up, we're training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we're training CSW, which is quite tough training because we're in a peer group where everybody is at a good level. For you, what have been the milestones for you in your? What have been the things where you've gone? Yeah, obviously I'm guessing the black belt and whatever else. But anything you can talk to us a little bit about that. But anything else where you go, that was an important part for me, or that was a decisive moment for me.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I've got so many of them because the whole journey really has just constantly been a cycle of me thinking, yeah, that's great, I could never do that, to then doing it, to then being like, I can't believe I just did that. And the black belt obviously is definitely one of those. When I first joined and did those kickboxing classes, that wasn't something that was on the agenda. I was, this is something I want to do, but I'm not going to be that person. I'm never going to get to that level, but I'm getting on and I'm doing it. And when I eventually took that black belt and did it, I was just mind blown. I felt like I walked off the mat a completely different person. I'd challenged everything that I ever believed about myself and completely changed it. And then my next milestone would definitely be when I first started training with the team. So again, that was just like walking onto the mat for the first ever time. All these people who I've looked up to and thought, oh, if only I could be like them one day. And then to step on the mat and start training with you like 3 times a week, it was just, my martial art just grew massively so quickly as well. It was like a whole different level. So that's another one.
I think there's very often when we've got a really good base of instructors, very strong lineage, but I think for a lot of instructors and students alike, if you connect with somebody, not particularly just on the mat, but in terms of their philosophy, their mindset. One of the things that is obvious from speaking to all of the guys in the team is that they all retain the white belt mentality. Wow, that was hard for me to say. That open-mindedness to wanting to learn. And I know if the guys who are watching this have seen you on the pads, seen some of the videos that have been produced for us, or that we've put out amongst the team and stuff, they'll realise how good you are as a martial artist. And probably for some of the people who are out there, in one respect, realising sometimes how good you are in spite of yourself. Because now, for me personally, as your instructor, I've watched you grow, and there are kind of certain levels for people, and you have to go through a certain amount of training, and then something starts to drop. When it drops mentally, some people will go, it's the conscious unconscious connection. No, I don't any longer have to think about it. I can just relax and do it. And that takes a whole lot of connectivity in terms of I've got to do this, to do this, to do this out. And what is 5 things becomes one thing. Or your movement becomes more automatic because it's ingrained in your system, and then that moves you up a level. And I've seen all of those with you, where you've kind of gone along and been growing consistently, always positive, always putting and then there'd be a little moment when, and I've said this to you, wow, okay, you've found something different, you've found something more, or we were doing some ground recently, and you were moving on the ground, and not the whole technique, just one for me was where you just hipped away. You didn't have to think about it. I could see from watching. Those are the moments for me when I know that somebody is really starting to, the martial artist, they're not doing martial arts now, they're becoming a martial artist. And that's quite important for me as an instructor. How do you maintain your passion? How do you keep yourself going? It's easy for me. I don't even have to, I couldn't answer that question, but I do.
Yeah. So exactly what you just said really is that I'm not just doing martial art anymore. So I am a martial artist, and it is what I do. We, as a family, obviously all 4 of us training, we eat, sleep and breathe Mac, it's our entire lifestyle. But I've taken that not just on the mat and inside the academy or even for work. It's more the way that I eat now. I used to eat to look a certain way or whatever, or to manage my stress levels. Now I'm constantly thinking how can I be better in my martial art? How can I make sure that I'm the best that I can be on the mat and off the mat? The reason that I exercise now is to get stronger for my jiu-jitsu, for example, or to develop my skills or my cardio. Everything I do now has a better reason for it and a better focus. Like, it is my lifestyle. So
I think what martial art does that, doesn't it? When you commit and set the goal, when you go, okay, I'm going to be that black belt, or I'm going to improve, or there's that kind of original momentum, set the goal, black belt, work towards it. Setting that goal in that way for me means I'm no longer bothered about having a good day or a bad class or a good training partner or a bad training partner or any of those things. It just means I know where I'm going, and martial art training is a microcosm of life. I'm going to have a good day, I'm going to have a not so good day. And it teaches me as I go along that, none of that is life or death. I don't have a brilliant class. I come back and I re-drill, I learn it, I ask a question, I go to a student who's trained longer than me, or I go to an instructor, I say, listen, that didn't work out, can you look at this with me? Or what, I don't feel like I'm getting this, and all those. And I think, for me, a lot of people don't get that. They don't have that kind of, okay, this is a learning curve. This is a journey, not a destination. And I think once you understand that, it helps you to minimize. So having that longer term goal then affects all these other things in your life. So, for example, like you were saying, when you've got that end goal, you're no longer going, oh, well, maybe I should lose a little bit of weight. Maybe I should get a little bit fitter. Maybe I should learn something new. Maybe I should meet some different people. You can set that one goal of black belt, and all of those things will happen because we've got that information within the group. People can go, how do I eat better? How do I supplement my training? How do I burn energy? How do I raise endorphins? How do I challenge myself mentally, physically, and spiritually? In terms of what I mean by that is your strength of will, your fighting spirit to go on. Well, you go and set yourself to go to black belt, and once you set it, that becomes your focus and everything else that goes with it. So I think, and that is so evident across the team, open-mindedness and the desire to move forward, learning. So awesome thing. We're in a tough time at the moment. You and I were talking about this before we went to record. How does your martial art training help you with, the way the world is at the moment?
I think that it's the mindset that comes with it. So, like you said about having a good class or a bad class, and it's not linear. It goes up and down, and there's hard times and there's good times, and just having that mindset to just keep on going, keep on pushing through, knowing that this isn't the end, or this isn't, you always come out the other side stronger, better. Having learned more. I think it's just using you and being able to control your mind as well, because sometimes it can run away with you and your thoughts, I can't do this is too hard. Being able to go, no, come on, reset, I've got this, try again, and just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I think I've just said it a few seconds ago. For me, martial art is a very good way of looking at how you can manage the rest of where your life is. And maybe that's because I've been in it for so long, or maybe because I've made it that focus for me. But I think all the things that you can learn, whether this is a big thing, getting a black belt, or this is a small thing, I had a bad class. Nobody's bothered other than me. The peers around me are helping me. One of the things I love about martial art that we do is everybody that's on the mat teaching. So whether you're teaching the cubs, the juniors, adults, or involved in some form of that, you've been along the journey yourself. So when that person is going, I can't get this, you go, I've been there and I overcame it. So I can tell you that in real time, which is why I really love the idea. Dave said to me yesterday, he's learning French, which I think is fantastic because it reminds you of what it is to have that learning mindset again. And I do lots of things like that. And for the people that are going to listen to this or watch this, Kelly and I swap loads of books backwards and forwards between us. Kelly, me, Sam, Dave, some of the other guys in the team. But Kelly and myself particularly, we look at books, philosophy, we look at goal setting, personal development, and we share these all the while, which for me, as Kelly's instructor, is the bigger picture of the student relationship with the instructor teaches, the student responds. So one question that I've asked everybody, and I think is really important, what one thing looking back for you would you know now that you wish you'd have known at the beginning of your training? Or what would you say to somebody today that this is something that I look back on, that if I'd have known that would have helped me along the way?
It's a tough one. I think for me, going back to it's not linear thing. So especially at the start of my journey, if I found something difficult, or I had a bad class, or I had a bad day, and then I kind of took that on the mat, you never kind of keep going up, you never keep getting better, and everything goes better and better as you go. You do have those blocks and those bad days and those setbacks, and I think I wish I could have told myself it would have been that way, because there was times where I got to a point and I thought, with life in general probably, but you just think, oh, actually this is hard, this is too much, I don't know if I can do this. I remember getting kind of hit with a pad in the face once in one of my classes, and just completely going into meltdown in my head, like, oh, I'm not cut out for this. I think it was the first time I'd gone into an advanced class, and it was just a random thing, but I remember coming out thinking, yeah, this isn't me, I was right about myself, I can't do this. And I think just if I could tell myself now, no, actually this is just one day, or this is just one moment, tomorrow's different, that would have been helpful, and it saved a lot of the monkey mind.
Yeah. Or at the same time, that opportunity to say now, looking back, well, it is for me. I did get past that. I got to a place where most people don't get, you know what I mean? So, and I think, I totally agree. I think everybody thinks experienced martial artists, so they do everything out of, oh, well, I'm going to do that and it's going to be perfect and it's going to be good. And I don't think they do. My own personal experience, and for myself, my students, even for my instructors, well, what's different is rather than go, that's not for me, why did I do that? Why am I doing this? The reverse of that, or the martial art mindset for that, for me, is more of, okay, that didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Why was that? How do I get better? Who do I ask about that? What do I need to do? Why was I upset? I had a bad day at work. Did I have the partner that I was working with? We weren't in sync physically, so I just got caught. Or, hey, you know what? I just got smacked in the face and I took it. So, let's just move forward from there.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, those insights are important, because I think if you don't know, if you just look at somebody on there, somebody saw you on the pads, or somebody saw you just hitting a drill, they would go, wow, I wish I could be like that. What they don't go is, I wish I could train for 5.5 years at that pace, at that level, for that amount of time, and then be like that. That's a reasonable request, or a reasonable goal to set. So, okay, good, Kelly. Do you have a message for the broader Mac family, for your Kung Fu Cubs guys, and for the broader Mac family, before we sign off and say goodbye for now?
Yeah, I think I like to try and find the positive in every situation, and I think that using this time now to create new habits. So if you're a student who's looking to improve something, attaching that to something you're already doing, and it might be something as simple as improving your mobility. Okay, every day before bed I'm just going to do this stretch. Or if you're a parent or a family member who doesn't train, but you've kind of, like I did, sat on the sidelines thinking, I wish I could do this, just give it a go. Just join in with the live classes or whatever else, and no one's watching you, no one's going to see you, no one's even going to know that you did it, so just give it a try. You might surprise yourself. Just using this time, like Dave learning French, for example, just grab those moments and go, right, this is a habit. Now I've got the chance, what do they say, 21 days, 28 days. I've got the chance to do something, the time to do it every single day, and see how it impacts my life. Just do that. Use the positives.
Fantastic. So thank you for that, Kelly. That's our little get to know Kelly Bennett. I have got a second series of podcasts more about martial arts and stuff like that, but it's been great to talk to you. So hopefully I'll see you soon, physically, rather than through the eyes of Zoom. And we'll talk again soon, Kelly. Little wave for you. Bye.
Thank you.